actually about the panel about the global impact of African fashion. I'm joined by some incredible designers who are doing incredible things across Africa, whether that's being inspired by the textiles or actually manufacturing in those countries. Today I'm joined by some incredible designers and I'm going to ask them all if they can introduce themselves, starting with you, Jessie.
I'm Jessie, I'm co-founder of Salford Slow Fashion, community interest company. I run that with Natalie over there.
Hi everyone, my name is Tosi. I'm the founder and creative director of Ifizzzcreations. We're a male bespoke fashion brand catering for male. Every day, a guy can virtually wear that. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ifizz. I'm the founder of M.A.Dkollection, which is a women's wear, mostly women, some men and some kids, clothing brand, African inspired clothing.
Hi everyone, my name is Ololade Adeni. I'm the founder and creative director of Soul Rating. It's an Afrocentric fashion brand that caters for both male and female. It's a contemporary fashion brand. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. My first question for you guys is, what first drew you into fashion design and what inspired you to embrace African fashion as part of your identity? You could have created anything, like what first drew you into fashion?
Are we going this way?
Yeah, we can go this way.
I've always been interested in fashion and how you express yourself through fashion. But the reason why we've come together today is because we've been working on a collaboration with the Ugandan fashion label called Ifizzzcreations, and they've actually got their showcase coming up this weekend. So it's more about working in collaboration, elevating their stories, and creating artwork together. And yeah, that's.
Thank you. So Jessie, I love like what you've been doing, and I'm actually going to quickly play this video. But some of the pieces that you saw downstairs in the fashion exhibit and that you'll be seeing later, she's made with this collective in Uganda. It's so incredible. They've spent, how long did it take to like actually create these pieces?
It's been since January, but it's been like a whole process since January.
Yes, and I think it's like the very definition of slow fashion, and it's been the very definition in terms of like you traveled to Uganda, you did your research, you did so much work over there, and you came back to Manchester to finish that work. And I think like I found the whole story like absolutely incredible. And so we're just going to show you a little video that shows the process essentially of what you've done.
While growing up, I grew up with my grandma, and she used to be an actual weaver, like what I'm putting on. And growing up, living with her, I used to feel like the errand boy with her, doing stuff with her. So that attracted me to fashion, and growing up, and I thought about it, what can I do, to make it even more stylish? And I had an uncle that is always so stylish in the house, and I thought about it, having an uncle that's stylish, having a grandma that does this thing, what can you do with this? And that really got me attracted to the actual thing. And then from there, I have to diversify into other pieces of African fashion, and here we are today.
Yeah, and I love what you do because you do, I feel like African traditional fashion, but you also do kind of Western things, which is really amazing. And you have a store in Nigeria?
Yeah. So we have a store in Lagos, in case of anyone is going to Lagos. We also make English wears as well. I tailor really good bespoke suits, everything for your wedding and stuff. So not just the African stuff. We diversify into the English part as well. So
yeah, I've seen both parts and it's absolutely stunning.
what's the store called? T-Clothiers. You can also check us out on Instagram. T-Clothiers Bespoke.
T-Clothiers Bespoke, yeah. Awesome. And over to you, Ify, would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey?
So I started my fashion journey kind of like a hobby, but I liked blogging. Like when fashion blogging was a thing, or when blogging was a thing, I used to like make the clothes and then style them and then blog about it many years ago. And I started getting people asking, doing something for me, and that is when the thought process, maybe we can do business out of this. So that's when I started making clothes, and M.A.Dkollection was born. And also, like, I was doing like part-time between my work and my first time. November of 2020, I decided to go full-time. And this year, 5 years, can check us out on, well, mostly online, that's M.A.Dkollection with a K.com, and Instagram is my collection across all social media platforms. That's my journey.
I feel like you're so modest, but I think that you are one of the foremost kind of black designers, and I love the fact that you're from Manchester as well. And if these items have been worn by Shady Shay, Angelica Bell, like some of the British legends that you see on Instagram, on TV, have worn my collection. And I love that you never say it. Like, I have to go on your Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, she has so many followers. Like, and oh my gosh, this person wore it. She'll be like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, okay, casual. Like, but yeah, it's great to see that such incredible kind of impact can come from Manchester, can be from here. Like, I love the fact that you're Nigerian and you're living in Manchester and you've been able to create this incredible brand that's able to reach all sorts of places. Over to you, Rolande.
Thank you. So I think my journey started from when I was young, and I always say my inspiration comes from my mom, because I watch her while growing up. She's always like making one outfit or the other, wearing a show to parties and always tying her baby everywhere. So I just, that came in and I was just like, I've always loved fashion since then. So I think we started about 5-10 years ago, thereabout. But then I came into the UK, studied international business management, because I don't just want it to be about fashion. I want it to be about fashion, but I want to be able to manage the fashion aspect of it as well, business aspect of it. So that inspired me when I was growing up with my mom, and since then we've just been raising business. Recently, I traveled back home to Nigeria to start up our production hub, where we're making handmade ashoke, handmade adire, tie-dye, and all of that. And I'm thinking of bringing that to Manchester to teach people how to make indigenous tie-dye fabric. And you can check us all out on Instagram at Soul Rating. You can see our pieces and more are coming. Thank you.
Now, how's our video? Yay! You know what? I promise I tested this before and it was working. And you might not believe us because it was working. You don't see it? It's like, no, not today. Well, hopefully we can play it at the end or something. Jesse, I have a question for you, because making this item across Uganda and Manchester, were there any surprising challenges that came out of kind of working across border, or any surprising inspirations?
I'll start with inspirations. I think I was super inspired by how 10 Days works with fashion and uses it as a platform, as activism, and to share stories. And I actually discovered the bark cloths, that's fully sustainable material from a tree, and 10 Days do an amazing work to share the stories about the bark cloth. It's releasing a podcast about that. So it's just understanding the indigenous materials a little bit more, and the journeys of that and the histories, and how the UK is connected to that. And yeah, just inspired by that whole movement that he's doing. And then also from a design perspective, because I went to university and my sense of learning in design was very rigid, so it was very formal, whereas when I was working with 10 Days and we were coming together with ideas and really collaborating with our journey, it was a lot more creative, a lot more spontaneous, and just really, yeah, I was inspired by how he actually worked as a designer. I don't know if that's a cultural thing, but it was just how he worked, and it was just, yeah, it feels more natural to me to kind of work in the way that he was working, so
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about collaboration, right? You always learn from the person you're working with. And I think a great collaboration should be about coming together, learning about each other's processes, and then both coming away with something that makes you better and makes them better as well. Tosin, in what ways would you say African textiles and traditions have shaped global fashion trends?
African textile, yeah, the new thing, yeah. And I love what's going on in the global market, especially in Nigeria. It's time where we're preaching inclusivity and diversity, and the acceptance of African culture, of African fabrics has been really, really nice. You know, like I said earlier, I make bespoke suits and the kinds. So, you know, now we diversified into making bespoke suits with even the Ankara fabrics, the Ashoke fabrics, and you know, there's this one from the eastern part of Nigeria called Isiago, and you know, I did a job for this. I will be mentioning. I did a job for this one, and you know, they actually said they don't even want the the normal usual like normal fabric for suit, and they want the traditional one, the African one. And it's just something really glad, like, you know, the acceptance has been really, really awesome, and you know, I just know like the sky is just starting for African fashion. I'm happy about that.
Thank you. I completely agree. I feel like there was been a shift. Like when I moved to Manchester, I feel like it wasn't cool to be like from Nigeria. Like it was like a thing that you try to hide or suppress your accent or suppress the accent in you. I feel like now with the resurgence of our fabrics, our clothes, our music, we're just so cool, right? We're just so cool, and everybody wants to be a part of it. And it's beautiful for young people growing up now, right? It's that they get to be a part of this. And we do a lot of fashion shows in schools where people will be like, oh my gosh, that's my culture, and they're proud of it. And I love to see that. So yeah, that's beautiful to hear you're working with organizations that really value that. And I think it ties into what you're doing as well, Jessie, that you're going and appreciating this club and doing something to kind of increase the knowledge and the awareness of it, and to actually highlight the incredible work that's happening in Uganda and this incredible fabric. And over to you, Ifi. My next question for you is, how do you balance preserving traditional elements whilst also interpreting them for a global audience?
So for most of the prints we use, Ankara, Ashoke, Adira, and those are prints that have been in since centuries, and what we've tried to do is create designs that are contemporary. So back then when Ashoke was in, it was mostly for weddings or more traditional things, but now, I mean, you get fabric everywhere or anything. Like, even if you're going to parties or you're shopping, we try to create our design so that you can wear it to anything, and we just make sure we're preserving the fabric and then making it for everyday use.
Thank you. And my next question for you, Lolade, what advice would you give emerging fashion designers who want to break into the market internationally?
Oh, okay. I think one thing I would say is there is power in collaboration. Go out, meet people, talk to people, try to socialize, get feedback, put that into your work, and be consistent. You have to try to do it over and over again, and then try to get feedback from people, take that feedback into what you're doing, and make sure that you're improving on that. And by going out and meeting people, you try to like hear ideas from people. Some people might be in a room that you don't know, they'll be the one to take you to the next step, but you just have to take yourself out there. And then when you do that and keep on showing up for yourself more and more, believe me, the sky is just the starting point.
Thank you, Lolade. Over to you, audience. Do you have any questions for our panel?
Just talk.
Oh, yes.
Hi everyone. Okay, hi. My question is, and it's something that I think about a lot as, you know, black fashion designers, Jessie. You know, I think a lot about narratives and storytelling through fashion. And it's like, I feel like I have the answer to my own question, and it might be like, it might run a bit long, but just bear with me. When I think about fashion, I'm thinking in terms of narratives, in terms of like what are we trying to do? I used to make clothes like when I was a bit younger, and I plan to continue. And my relationship to like creation kind of starts to like narrative, and I feel like we don't necessarily get a lot of narrative, and like building on that is like how I studied fashion, like studying Parisian designers, Americans, Japanese, there weren't like a lot of African designers to study, and again, I noticed like, there's a lot of turbulence in the continent. There's like, we don't have archives publicly accessible. So I know that, like I said, I feel like I have the answers to my own question, but it's like, it is a complex relationship with like archiving, with storytelling, I feel like we don't even like necessarily have fashion films where, I'm able to study 98, in fact, 1990, 89 Magella because there's like photography, there's videos from back then. But at the same time, I feel like right now, there are brands working right now that are putting together runway shows. And it's very underground because again, it's like a lot of these are like small operations. This isn't like a global thing necessarily. But I'm feeling like despite, it's kind of easier now. And I know a lot of like young people making things that are making fashion films, like photographers are becoming a lot more important. So it's like, yeah, a lot of people are making these things, but I'm seeing bigger brands and more established people not necessarily thinking about that. So like I said, it is a bit long-winded, and I do know the answers to my questions, but having everyone here, and if someone in the audience as well, but just like throwing it to all of us, let's just kind of, play with those ideas and what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good thought to say. I think I've noticed as well that there's not a lot to study when it comes to African fashion, and we've been working with Manchester Fashion Institute actually to start to create stuff. I think Tosin and I were speaking so from Manchester Fashion Institute about writing papers about the incredible work that's going on, so that, 50 years from now and 100 years from now, there are people who can study the incredible work that these designers are doing, whether that's with Backcloth or Ashoke or Ankara, and they can actually be able to learn in schools, in fashion institutes, and be able to watch films and be able to see photographs of the incredible work, so that we can actually know the transition of what's going on. But I think maybe there's a heavier responsibility on us to make sure that those archives exist, to do the work, working with organizations, with schools. It's very time consuming, right? Because as a business owner, you have so much that you're balancing, and it's like, do I have time to write a paper about this? I'm not so sure. I'm struggling, but I think that I don't know, maybe it is important to make sure that people in the future can kind of learn from us. Jasmine?
I just wanted to add to that, because that is like a very good statement, but it also made me think I don't know where you guys all got your fashion from, but I got mine from my parents.
Yeah!
It's from myself. As fashionistas that my parents are, they love taking pictures. There's a box underneath the basement, having the stairways, just of all the old films and all their pictures in that, and they were styling and winding it. So it's ask your comrades, ask your people, ask this network if you have those questions. What were your parents' influences and their style? Maybe we can share that, and then start this beautiful kind of more interpersonal connection of the stories that we need to tell about. Like you said, it's kind of up to us to tell those stories. So I guess up to us to ask and create that network of information in archive. And yeah, if you guys want some fly pictures of my parents in outfits, then ask me. It's all right.
I think it's so interesting what you said, because I think in African communities we don't archive in the same way, right? So we have all these pictures from our parents, and my mom has so many fabrics in her suitcases, right? And so I know what to do, and you all know what to do because you learn from your parents. And I think there's a wider question around what you said about studying Parisian fashion from the 1800s. Can people 100 years from now study Nigerian fashion from this time that aren't from Africa, that don't have parents from Africa, that are simply interested? And I think it's that collective responsibility, is that we've not archived in that way, but perhaps we can be the generation to start that. Yeah.
So my question to the panel is, what is your biggest hurdle, or what becomes something that can turn into burnout for you, and how do you work through that? What motivates you to get through those hard times?
I think money motivates me. stressed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be booking a holiday in 2 weeks' time. So, in a nutshell, that's just me being realistic. Just how I manage my journey as a fashion designer.
So you were saying about your last 5 years and how you were just working with your fashion.
Yes.
How is your story with money and how did you progress with your fashion along those years?
Okay, so when I decided to go full time, I had like 3 to 6 months saved because I was working full time, 9 to 5 as a business analyst. So I'd saved like 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And when I decided to go full time, I knew that because I was doing business part time as well, like before I started to go full time, I knew that whatever it is, I was just going to make it work. So there was a lot I had to put in place, like marketing, brand visibility, getting fashion influencers, like running ads, and also like creating really mad designs. So it's just been all the way up from there.
So you think there's no shortage of people wanting to buy African inspired fashion?
When you say shortage of people wanting to buy, how do you mean?
I mean, people want to buy products like want to make.
So the question is, there an audience for it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
She makes a
Yes.
lot of money.
She worldwide as well, so like imagine how many people in the world. And what I do find is a lot of people, I'll say our top 20 customers are mostly not black people, they're Caucasians, and they just spend a lot of money. Like,
How many? Did you say one out of 20?
I'll say our top 20 customers. Like if I have to like do analytics and see people that are purchasing from us, they're mostly like Caucasians, and they do spend quite a lot. And because we ship worldwide, most of our like people that buy quite a lot, like Australians, United States, are like really massive markets. So yeah, there's no shortage of people to buy from us, and yeah.
I think the last question.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference between the audience from the Caribbean and Africa and other countries?
Yeah, so Africa is not our target audience, so we don't do much. I think the main places we do ship to Africa is like South Africa, only because the shipping is a bit ish, like it's not straightforward. Like if you're shipping to the US, you can use any provider to ship to the US, so we don't really focus on African market. Besides, we can get people like tailored in Africa to sort them out. So I just focus on people that.
I think the people, when you're building a fashion brand with an African focus in the UK, then your audience is typically people who don't have access, right? So that would typically be like a non-black audience, because like some you mentioned, you can get it like from your mom or your mom's sister or someone who's back home. And actually I remember when I started, the first ever pop-up I did, I remember like seeing the price because the shipping is so expensive. And someone was like, oh, I can get this at the market in Lagos for like 3 times less. And I was like, oh my God, boy, you didn't add this and this and this. Like, you know, so I think like, you know, when you have that familial connection, then it's so much easier for you to access it. And then the people who appreciate it are people who don't have access to it, who might love the colors and the patterns and the fabrics. And I think that ends up being a completely different audience. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, hi, slightly related. There are 2 questions. What are your biggest markets in the world? That's the whole plan, or most of it. And the second thing is, I've noticed China is becoming a lot more interested in African fashion. Are you feeling the challenges of that? Or is it a positive?
So the first question, top 3 biggest markets for us is the United States, Australia, and the UK, which is well Europe. And then for the Chinese thing.
Ify's been through a lot with this. Actually, she posts a lot on Instagram about it.
I think because we get like brands like Shein, Temu. I mean, when I'm fighting this with my lawyer and these guys, they would literally copy all the designs. When I say copy, I mean like my models in front of my house, like everything verbatim on their website. I'm having to go back and forth to say, can you stop doing this nonsense, because it's getting really frustrating. So if they take these things and sell it at really knockoff prices, and I'm not even worried about them using my products, because I kind of feel like I'm an inspiration to them if they have to use it. But it's more people like sending us DM to say, are you working in affiliation with these people because I can see your products on there. And we always have to go back to say, no, we have nothing to do with it. At some point, I even had to make a video to post on Instagram to say, if you've seen our product anywhere and decide to buy it, that's at your own risk because the quality is definitely not what we would usually give you. It's a struggle for getting through it. Yeah.
So I was just going to add to what she just said. The Chinese market it's a big one. But what I'm going to say is the quality of some of the things we make from Africa can be compared to what they are making in China. Because we source this fabric. You see this pants I'm wearing, it was woven like from scratch. They won't weave anything from scratch from China. They will just look for lookalikes. Do you get what I mean? But looking at them from pictures, you just think, yeah, it's the same thing. And I tell you for a fact, the prices now go really lower. The lesser the price, the more the demand, you know what I mean? So I tell you for a fact, authenticity is just what keeps us going. That's the main thing. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's great to see the fashion because I don't think it's as common as you think because although I am black, I'm not from an African background, so I don't know where to purchase these things. When I go to my local store, I rely on what I see on the American channels or other black people to get my fashion. When I want bolder colours, they're not available in my local shops and online. And when they are available, they're a bit more expensive as well because they obviously come with a lot more colours, sequences, etc., but they are flattering on my skin tone. The other thing I wanted to say was it would be great to see models of different body shapes because that's one of the issues that I had growing up, which is I felt overweight, I felt too big because my shape was different to my friends. So I'd like to see more black models modeling real images of how these things look and also different style of clothing that's flattering on women with a curvy shape, etc. And it's great to see, and I'd like to know where you can purchase these things that, not just on the ground.
Yes, I think I'll take that. So I remember when I was in university doing my master's, and I think before I started my fashion brand in the UK, that was one of the things I faced, some issues I had, and I wrote about it in university because it's like, you just feel like you're in a different world and you just don't know where you fit in. And I just walk into Zara, I'm like, oh my God, walking to H&M, do you get what I mean? Because it's so different and I'm just coming here and as an international student and everything is so different. So I have to send to people at home, could you just get me this, could you ship this to me and all of that. So I understand what you're going through and I think that challenge is one of the things that my brand is focusing on. Dressing every size, every shape, every color. So we want to make everybody to feel inclusive, to find a style that works for you. And I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to do on my website, where we have virtual augmentation, whereby you can see your body size, just pick your size, see your body size. Even before buying it, you can look at it and try it on the dummy on the website and know, okay, this will fit me, this will look good when I'm wearing it. So that's a really good thing. And it's something I feel like a lot of African fashion, they are trying to provide solutions to it. Right, thank you.
Ooh, one last one, okay. And before we go, I just wanted to also say, you asked where you can purchase these pieces. So I think most of the brands here have a website.
Yeah.
Actually, all of the brands
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
website. Where can people purchase your pieces? Not yet?
No, they're just like one-off things.
Yeah, but these guys all have websites and they're amazing. And all of the fashion brands that will feature at the showcase, they all have websites as well. So if you check our page, you'll see. And then I know there's a lot of organizations doing work in Manchester and outside that focus on kind of showcasing black-owned businesses. So there's Melanin Market in Manchester. There's Black Culture Market here in London. Oh, sorry, have I said it wrong?
That's it, one.
Okay.
Black Marketplace.
Black Marketplace.
In London.
It's like, don't promote the wrong place. I'm sure both of those places are places where you can go on those pages and actually find black-owned brands. It's not as easy to find. It feels like you have to go out of your way.
That's my issue. We shouldn't have to go to just a specific area for our things.
Yeah. It's it's a really good point. Like I wish that bigger like shops would actually stock black-owned brands. And I think it's something that like it's very hard to do, because if you don't know the right people, how do you even get to the buyer to actually get your products in that store? It's something that for us as an organization supporting creatives we work on. So we get buyers to come and speak to our fashion designers and our creatives about what should I be sending to you, what should that look like, what sort of pricing should I be putting at, so that they can be as prepared when that opportunity comes. But unfortunately, that door often feels firmly closed. It feels like if you don't know the person on the other side, then you can never access that. And so I feel like a lot of work needs to be done on both sides for us to be prepared when the opportunity comes, but for somebody on the other side to actually open the door to let us in, so that we can actually succeed and create better access to these products. Yeah. We have one more question over there.
Yeah. I have something like a question or inquiry. Okay. This is my first time being in this place. So I stay in Manchester, but coming in from Nigeria, I've been into fashion because it's something I love doing. So, as an established people, fashion designers here in UK, are you thinking of somehow to bring those upcoming fashion designers out there to make them known?
So I think that's what we do. So we started as a fashion brand. We have a fashion brand called Cultureville, and out of that we started hosting events for black creators in Manchester. And we do a fashion show, we show some art, and somewhere along the way we realized those black creators were struggling, right? So it was great to show them on one night, but they would struggle throughout the year. And so we recently registered an organization that does support black creators, that does support emerging fashion designers. So some of these fashion designers literally just applied on our website to be at one event, and we've been able to build a relationship where we train them, where we show their work, where we give them opportunities, where if somebody reaches out to us and they say, oh, we've got this opportunity to show work or to work with this, we can funnel that to those creatives. But we're one organization, and I think it's a big job to do that across the UK. So we're focused on Manchester and the Northwest, but I'm sure there's similar organizations in London and in other places. But it's incredible hard work. It's incredibly hard work because oftentimes it's unpaid, and that's difficult because who's going to do that work in the long term? But I think that I definitely try, and I know Tosin, you do a lot of work working with a lot of creatives and fashion designers that are new to the country, that have often come from Nigeria and supporting that.
Yeah, just to add to that, Black Creative Trailblazers have been doing a wonderful job. Coming into the UK for me was, I moved here like 3 years ago, and it took me time to find my feet. You get what I mean? And one thing led to the other, and I met Diola and Roke in a fashion event, and they got to organize all these events like something we're doing here. And I was trying to apply for what they call the UK Global Talent Visa, and I was able to get the UK Global Talent Visa as a talent using my fashion design. You get what I mean? And how was this facilitated? It's all about showing evidences, events like this, shows like this. Like you said, how are we trying to bring up, upcoming fashion designers, get on events like this, socialize with people in this, kind of place, be out there, show what you do, let people see what you're doing, and I tell you no matter how small you are in the fashion brand, in the fashion business, you can get anywhere. I'm a testimony, and you also can also be a testimony. So thank you.
So we're out of time for questions, but I just wanted to ask you guys, if you could go back five years ago and give yourself a piece of advice, what would that advice be? Does anybody else want to start?
Yeah. Thank you. I think mine will be patience and consistency. God, patience, and consistency. So that's it.
I think mine will be, I think I slowed down. I think I should have started this earlier. So I'll tell everybody out there, start now. Start now. Yeah, that's it.
Because I'll start with building a community, like massive community. I would also be like a huge, massive influencer. I feel like it helps. It's using Fenty Beauty. It's popular because the owner of the brand is popular. all the faces behind most of the brands we know is because the faces are popular. So if you're building a brand, before you even start, build a community, like document your journey all the way through. I didn't start doing that only until like recently. And just young influencers as well, because this guy they charge an arm today.
Just trust the process. Yeah.
And I think mine would be feel the fear and do it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like that's what we're hitting, and I always say is like a lot of the times it feels scary. A lot of the time you don't feel ready. You feel like, well, let me wait till I get this. The truth is, you're never going to be 100% ready.
No.
So just feel the fear and do it anyway, and you will make it better. You will progress each time you do it. It can be rubbish the first time you start because it's your first time, and then you will get better, and you'll make less mistakes, and you'll do better and better and better. So one day you'll look at yourself and be like, damn, I'm good. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us for this panel. You've been incredible. A round of applause for yourself.